Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we are going to draw this iris in a line and wash technique, and I will have a real-time live free class for this over at michaels.com/classes on July 19th. So if you want to check that out, you can sign up with a link down below, and you can also grab a line artwork of this project. Now, this is how I design my projects for these classes, and I'm going to take you along for the ride here. So I started off by sketching a very loose I didn't do the line work here, just trying to sketch the basic shapes here. So I liked the two singular buds at the bottom and the big bloom. Now this iris could be painted in a variety of different colors. These bearded irises come in gorgeous tones of purple and blue and black and plum and yellow. And so honestly, you could really use your imagination as far as painting this, and once you have the pattern, you can obviously just transfer it onto paper as many times as you want. So when I am designing a project like this, I do my basic outline sketch, try to get everything pretty well proportional, and once I am comfortable with the way that I have everything sketched out, then I will add my pen and ink. There was a little bud kind of tucked in next to that front petal, and I love that, so I sketched that in. And this was from a photo that I took. I'm not sure if this one was at the Botanical Gardens in Boothbay or in France. I actually think this one was from one of the French gardens. They were blooming a little bit earlier than we were here up in Maine. And once I've got the basic sketch in and the basic proportions lined up, then I will zoom into the photo on my phone and I will get the kind of the detail line work. So what I'm doing here is basically putting in the little folds in the petals and the outline details, and I'm doing all of this with a 0.03 line maker from Derwent, and the supplies that I'm using here is my sketchbook that I made and the line and wash kit from Derwent, and we used that in our last Michaels class, the Seascape, so I thought it'd be great to use it again. It's a fun product to use in the summer because you get 2 pens, you get a water brush, you get 12 colors of paint, and it really fits the bill for you could paint pretty much anything you want with that set, which I like. I mean, it might not be your first choice for every topic that you're going to try and draw, but you'll be able to get by with it for sure. And I like that it has a variety of different products in there, so you're not just stuck with one single thing. But of course, if you don't have that set and you don't want to buy it, you can use whatever you have and still take the class for free. The class is, the live class is only available to residents of the USA and Canada, but the replay will be on Michael's YouTube channel a couple days later, and that is available worldwide. So nobody will have to miss out on this. So I basically start off by kind of outlining a section and then doing my line work, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty methodical. So when we do the class for Derwent, you've got the pattern that you can download when you sign up for the class, and then just transfer like what I have done in pencil, just the outline, not the details that I'm doing with a pen here. We're going to do the pen and ink together in the live class, so don't feel like you have to get this step done. Just get your basic pencil outlines. Like if you look at the bud down at the bottom of my picture that's not lined yet, that's what you're going to be doing. You're just going to be doing the basic outline with a pencil or with graphite paper if you're transferring it like that. Now, if you don't have graphite paper, you can print out the pattern and you can rub graphite or pastel or whatever on the back side of your paper and then just trace over that, and that will give you a dark enough line to proceed. I would probably do pencil rather than pastel, just because sometimes fine liners can pick up that dust and it can create some clogging in the nib. So graphite works pretty good because the pen just kind of glides over that pretty well. And I also want to encourage you to take your own reference photos, because when you use your smartphone, assuming you have a smartphone, if you take photos frequently and then you find yourself with some free time and you don't know what to create, you can always look back through those reference photos you took, because something made you want to take it at that time. Something inspired you about that. You were in the moment. You were in that location, that setting. You were smelling the air and you were feeling the sun on you or whatever. You were there. So that's going to be way more inspiring than a photo that somebody else took, in my opinion. So I just want to encourage you to take and work from your own reference photos whenever possible. So what I'm doing here for the painting is I'm just wetting some areas of the petals, and then I'm just dropping in some of the sun yellow color from this Derwent Line and Wash set. Yellow is a little bit tricky to do with when you are kind of trying to shade, because the color yellow has a very small range of value. So we have to be kind of tricky when we're trying to get those darker shades. So, you know, you want to start off with white, the white of the paper being your lightest shade, and then you can use the really watered down paint for those, like the front of that flower where it's the lightest. Then you add some color towards the edges, and that helps that front of that petal kind of poof out at you. And then you can add some of the kind of mango yellow there for some deeper yellows. And then when we get into the area where we need to shade, sometimes I like to mix a purple and add that into the yellow to make a shade. Sometimes I like to do a green. Sometimes I'll even do a little bit more blue in my purple so it doesn't get too brown and muddy. But, and we'll go over all of this in the live class, how to add those subtle colors without making it too muddy, because I think there's a lot of beauty in that subtlety. And I think a yellow iris is a little bit more tricky to paint than a purple iris, because with purple you have such a huge value range. If you have some either mixed purple or dioxazine purple, you can go from the white of the paper to near black with that color. With yellow, we've got that shorter range, so we need to mix in other colors, we need to mix in some purples, we need to mix in some greens, and we need to do it in a very delicate way so we don't overpower that really delicate yellow color. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun when you get it right. I really liked how this came out. And another thing I wanted to mention, because we're doing this differently than how we use the line and wash set in the last Derwent class, which is available up on their Michaels on the Michaels YouTube channel right now if you want to check it out. On that one, we used our paint more aggressively, more I don't want to say thickly, but we used it more concentrated, and then we did our line work last, because when you use the products in the Derwent Line and Wash kit and you use them thickly, they become opaque. So we have to really thin down that paint, and we have to be really really methodical with how we put it down so we don't cover up our line work, because we're doing our line work first here. Inktense, when used thickly, becomes opaque. Graphitin, when used thickly, becomes opaque. The pastel colors, when used thickly, become opaque. So we need to really use a lot of restraint here. And the products that I'm using for this subject would be the Inktense mostly, and also some Graphitin. So we're not using the pastel colors because they are too opaque for this, but they're all right there in that line and wash kit. And I just think that's a really versatile, fun kit to use, especially where it comes with the water brush. And I'm using the water brush that came with it, and it comes with the pens. Now, one thing I want to mention about the water brush, if you look in my tray there on my palette, that you see that little thing that looks like a plus sign, that's a stopper. Don't throw that away, because you cannot fit the water brush in the thing assembled if you have the cap on. So what you can do is you take the water brush apart, you can fill it with water and put that little stopper in there so it doesn't spill, and then you store the brush part with the cap on it separately, and that's how you transport that. I don't know why they didn't make that case just like a millimeter bigger so you could fit it in there with the cap on, but probably so you don't lose a stopper. That's probably why they did that, so you'd have to take it apart and put the stopper in. But that's really handy. It does collapse really small, so if you do just want to stick it in your pocket and bring it with a couple watercolor pencils on the go, you can. So I just wanted to make sure you didn't throw that away, because I don't think you can buy just those stoppers if you do throw it away. But it is it is a nice brush. It did all the work I needed it to do for this. I have to say I prefer their push button water brushes as far as like water brushes go, but this one certainly does a trick, especially for a line and wash set, which is what this is. After your first layer dries, you can go in and add more layers of color, so you can get more shadow, you can get more built up color. With the Inktense, the thing to remember is once it dries, it's permanent. So especially in thin washes like this, if I thought I might want to lift up an area after it dried and I went in with scrubber brush, if it's already dry, it's not going to lift back up. So just kind of keep that in mind. And if you need to lighten something up, blot it while it's still wet. I've sped this up to 500%. So this took me from the including the drawing, it took me an hour, but your drawing will already be transferred onto your paper by the time you come to class, and so we'll just be doing the line work and the watercolor wash. So it will be an hour-long class. It'll definitely be doable in an hour, and I think this is the type of project that would be perfect on a greeting card. I think it's a perfect type of project for if you wanted to get together and paint with friends. You could get a box of greeting cards, you could transfer the basic outline for your friends, and then you could all do the pen and ink together. I think that would be a really fun way to introduce others to painting. You could always put the video on too if you wanted to. I think anything that can get people painting, and you have a really nice, what do I want to say? You have a really good chance of success is great. And this is the type of thing that I would teach in my library classes, because I can start everybody off with a pattern, and then they can kind of relax and do the pen and ink work. And then no matter how they decide to do the watercolor wash, even if they don't want to put so much shading in and just want to do like kind of a flat wash, it's still going to look really nice. So this is for all levels. If you look at this and you think, oh, I don't know, that looks kind of difficult, please don't feel that way. Try it. It's much easier than it looks, and I think it's a really great way to introduce somebody into watercolor, because you've got the drawing done for you. And even if you didn't want to put these layers of shading like I'm doing here, and the layers of additional color like I'm doing here, you don't have to, and it's still going to look pretty. And then you can explore with your favorite colors and see what else you can make. And this is a great way to practice, especially if you're doing on greeting cards, because you can make a bunch of these in different colors, make a set. You can even photocopy them if you want, and, make note cards as gifts. I don't mind. That doesn't bother me at all. Obviously, you would want to check with other artists if they minded that with their tutorials, but I don't. Go for it. Good luck. And there it is. I really like how this came out, and I think it's going to be a really fun, relaxing project on a summer afternoon. So let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Please sign up. And when you're signing up, if you wouldn't mind leaving a review for me on the Michaels website, that would be great. I would appreciate it. Until next time, guys, happy crafting and stay creative.